As I stood before the decrepit house, its broken windows and overgrown yard sent chills down my spine. Rumors had swirled for years about the abandoned mansion, the tales of mysterious disappearances and paranormal occurrences. On a dare from my friends, I decided to step inside, eager to uncover the truth. The air inside was thick with a musty odor, and the floorboards creaked beneath my feet. A sense of unease settled over me, as if unseen eyes were watching my every move. I explored room by room, my flashlight casting eerie shadows on the peeling wallpaper. In the grand ballroom, I felt a sudden drop in temperature. The room seemed frozen in time, adorned with dusty furniture. I heard faint whispers, the words indiscernible but filled with a palpable malevolence. Panic surged within me and I stumbled back, desperate to escape. As I retraced my steps, the layout of the house seemed to shift, leading me into unfamiliar corridors. The walls seemed to close in, their faded paint contorting into sinister faces. The whispers grew louder, echoing through the halls like a haunting chant. In one room, I found an old photograph, a family smiling, their eyes devoid of life. Suddenly, a shadowy figure materialized before me. Its eyes glowed with a malevolent light, and its ethereal fingers brushed against my skin. I gasped, frozen with terror. The figure spoke in a voice that seemed to come from the depths of the abyss. It spoke of anguish and despair, of lives lost and souls trapped. It told of a curse that bound the mansion, feeding on fear and perpetuating its malevolence. With a jolt, I realized that the figure was one of the lost souls, trapped in this house for eternity. Its desperation was palpable, and I felt a surge of sympathy. It reached out, and I hesitated before touching its spectral hand. In that moment, a blinding light enveloped us. The house shook, its very foundation trembling as if in agony. The figure's form wavered, and its anguished cries echoed through the air, and then it was gone. As the light faded, I found myself outside the house, the sun's rays warming my skin. The mansion stood still, no longer exuding the air of malevolence. I knew that the curse had been broken, and the lost souls had found their release. Deep in the heart of the woods stood an abandoned cabin, its time-worn walls veiled by tangled vines. It was a place whispered about in hushed tones, a place where even the bravest dared not venture. Yet curiosity got the better of me, and I set out to uncover the mysteries lurking within. As I approached, the air grew heavy with an eerie stillness. The forest seemed to hold its breath, as if warning me to turn back. Ignoring my instincts, I pushed through the underbrush and stood before the cabin's decaying entrance. Inside, darkness swallowed the feeble light that managed to pierce the cracks in the boarded-up windows. The musty scent of damp wood and rotting leaves filled the air. My flashlight's beam revealed cobwebs that clung to the corners, as if spun by the spirits of the forsaken. The creaking floorboards seemed to protest my presence, each step resonating like a haunting echo. I explored cautiously, my heart pounding with a mix of fear and exhilaration. A chill crept up my spine, and I shivered despite the humid air. In a corner, I found an old journal. Its pages were yellowed with age, and the words within told of a hermit who had sought solitude in the cabin. The entries grew increasingly erratic, the handwriting devolving into a chaotic scrawl. The final entry spoke of malevolent whispers that tormented the writer's mind. As I read, a low whisper seemed to fill the room, its source unfathomable. The walls seemed to close in and shadows danced across the walls. Panic clawed at my chest, and I stumbled back, my own breath loud in my ears. In the dim light, I saw figures forming in the corners of the room, shadowy shapes that seemed to watch me with hollow eyes. Their whispers grew louder, intertwining in a sinister chorus that seemed to seep into my very soul. In a desperate attempt to escape, I turned and fled, my footsteps echoing through the cabin, but the exit seemed to recede, the corridor stretching into an endless abyss. Each step I took led me deeper into the cabin's heart, further away from safety. Time lost meaning as I wandered, the cabin's malevolent energy feeding off my fear. The figures pursued me, their whispers a cacophony of dread. Just when I thought I could bear it no longer, I burst through the cabin's entrance, gasping for air as the sunlight hit my face. I stumbled away from the cabin, its oppressive presence still lingering. The woods seemed to sigh in relief, as if the malevolence had been exorcised. The mysteries of the abandoned cabin remained, but I had no desire to uncover them any further. That night, as I lay in bed, the whispers echoed in my mind, a haunting reminder of my encounter. The cabin in the woods held its secrets, secrets I had only begun to glimpse. And though I had escaped its clutches, a part of me knew that its malevolent energy would forever haunt my nightmares. The air was thick with excitement as my friends and I set up camp deep in the heart of the woods. A weekend of teenage adventure awaited us, but little did we know that our excursion would become a nightmare beyond our wildest fears. As the night fell, we gathered around the campfire, sharing stories and laughter. The crackling flames provided a false sense of security, masking the eerie sounds of the forest. A distant rustling caught my attention, but I brushed it off as a trick of the imagination. One by one, my friends retired to their tents, leaving me alone by the dying embers. A sudden chill sent shivers down my spine, and I instinctively glanced around. Shadows danced among the trees, and my heart raced as a feeling of dread washed over me. A chilling silence enveloped the woods, broken only by the sound of footsteps approaching. Panic welled up as I realized my friends were still inside their tents, unaware of the danger lurking nearby. I strained my ears, trying to identify the source of the footsteps, but they seemed to come from all directions. A figure emerged from the darkness, clad in tattered clothes and a grotesque mask. My heart hammered in my chest as I realized the horrifying truth. A slasher killer was among us. Paralyzed with fear, I watched as the figure moved with unnatural speed, its blade glinting in the moonlight. Without thinking, I sprinted toward my friends' tents, desperate to warn them. The forest seemed to close in around me as the footsteps echoed behind, drawing closer with each passing second. Adrenaline surged through my veins, propelling me forward even as my lungs burned. I reached the tents and frantically unzipped the flaps, screaming at my friends to wake up. Confusion turned to terror as they realized the danger we were in. We scrambled to our feet, our breaths ragged, and the slasher's laughter echoed through the woods. Our only chance was to flee, and we tore through the forest, branches scratching at our skin, leaves crunching beneath our feet. The slasher pursued relentlessly, its laughter fueling our terror. One by one, my friends fell victim to the merciless blade, their screams etched into my memory. I stumbled upon an old cabin, its door ajar, and rushed inside. The cabin reeked of decay, but it offered temporary shelter from the relentless pursuit. My heart pounded as I huddled in a corner, listening to the slasher's footsteps drawing nearer. As the cabin door creaked open, I held my breath, praying for salvation. But the figure entered, its chilling eyes fixed on mine. The world seemed to blur as the blade descended, and my screams joined the chorus of horror that had plagued this cursed night. The morning sun rose over the woods, its light revealing the aftermath of the terror that had unfolded. The abandoned campsite was now a grim tableau of violence, a testament to the horrors we had faced. The slasher had vanished, leaving only the echoes of our screams behind, an unforgettable reminder of a camping trip that had turned into a nightmare beyond imagination.